July 1518, the city of Strasbourg. It's hot. The people are poor, starving, and riddled with disease. They pray for miracles. A woman named Frau Trophea walks into the street and begins to dance. She doesn't stop. Not for dinner. Not when night falls. Her husband begs her to rest. She collapses from exhaustion, sleeps for a few hours, and rises to dance again. This is not a celebration. This is an affliction. Within a week, 34 others have joined her. Within a month, 400 people are consumed by the dancing plague. They danced until their feet bled. They danced until their ribs broke. They danced until they died of heart attacks and strokes. This is not folklore. It is a documented historical event. Today, we unseal the bizarre file on the deadliest dance party in history. This is Dark Files Unsealed. The city authorities were baffled. This was a dark file they had to close. They consulted the doctors and scholars of the day. The diagnosis? Hot blood. Their blood had supposedly overheated, causing the mania. The city council debated. What was the cure? Their solution is one of the most bizarre parts of this story. They decided the cure for the dancing was more dancing. They thought the victims had to dance the fever out of their system. It was, tragically, the worst possible decision. The city council was convinced this was a natural disease, not a supernatural one. They banned prayers, fearing it would anger God more. Instead, they built a stage. They hired pipers and drummers to provide a constant beat, 24/7. It only made it worse. The music amplified the mania. The stage encouraged the hysteria. The plague spread faster. The city chronicles, which still exist, state that at its peak, 15 people were dying every day. They were dying of sheer physical exhaustion, strokes, heart attacks. The cure was a death sentence. The hot blood theory failed. So what else could cause 400 people to dance themselves to death? Theory 1. The supernatural. The locals had a different name for it, St. Vitus's dance. The belief was that St. Vitus, if angered, could inflict a curse of uncontrollable dancing. The panicked city council finally gave up on their hot blood theory, collected the remaining dancers, and trucked them to a shrine dedicated to St. Vitus, forcing them to pray for forgiveness. For the 16th century mind, this was a perfectly logical explanation. It's demonic possession or divine wrath. But for a modern investigation, it's a non-starter. The curse wasn't the cause, the belief in the curse was. Theory 2, the poison. This is the leading scientific theory, ergotism. Ergot is a fungus that grows on damp rye, the main bread staple for the poor. When consumed, it's a powerful poison. It causes convulsions, hallucinations, and a burning sensation in the limbs. It is, in fact, the natural substance from which LSD was first synthesized. Ergotism seems to fit. It's a mass poisoning. It causes twitching and delirium. It's happened before, but it doesn't fit perfectly. Ergot poisoning also causes gangrene. It restricts blood flow. It makes it harder to dance, not easier. And the records state they were dancing, not just twitching. If it wasn't a curse and poison doesn't fully explain it, what's left? The darkest file of all, the human mind itself. Theory 3, mass psychogenic illness. We have to look at the crime scene again. Strasbourg, 1518. The city was a pressure cooker of despair. A famine had just ravaged the region. Syphilis, leprosy, and the plague were rampant. The people were starving, terrified of God, and living on the absolute edge of sanity. They had nothing. And Frau Trophea simply broke. This is a social contagion, a mass hysteria. In a world of extreme, inescapable stress, the mind can snap. The belief structure of the time, St. Vitus's curse, gave them a script. A one person started, and this provided a release for the pent-up trauma of everyone else. It was an outlet. It wasn't a disease of the body. It was a disease of the mind, a shared trance-like state. The victims were not in control. They were trapped in a psychological feedback loop, amplified by the crowds, the music, and the terror. The chronicles say the dancers' eyes were empty. They begged for help, but their legs wouldn't stop. They were passengers in their own bodies. File 26, the dancing plague, is closed, but its warning is bizarre and timeless. The event slowly subsided. As the dancers were moved from public view, as the panic faded, The mania broke. The fever passed. But the bodies were real. The dancing plague of 1518 reveals a terrifying truth, that under the right conditions of extreme stress, fear, and shared belief, the human mind can collectively disconnect from reality. It wasn't a demon. It wasn't poison. The bizarre horror came from within, a dark file that proves that sometimes the most terrifying monsters are the ones created by our own minds. The file is closed, but the music still echoes. Thanks for watching.